You're here. Welcome to Visibility Vixen. We're listening to episode 30.
I personally don't like when entrepreneurs say, okay, this is a course, and then they never talk to the student again, because I'm like, is it really a course, or did you just organize some material?
Welcome to the Visibility Vixen podcast, where we create space to grow our brand with intention and clarity, one episode at a time. Join us as we explore the many aspects of entrepreneurship, start loving the journey instead of the destination, and begin building a legacy that lasts. Here's your host, Michelle Lewis.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Visibility Vixens. Today we are talking to Dr. LINDSAY Padilla. She is fantastic. You've probably seen her all over Facebook because she has been absolutely rocking Facebook Live. So LINDSAY, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really happy to be here.
Thank you so much. LINDSAY has been so patient with me. I had a little bit of a podcasting system meltdown, and she has been right there, ready to go whenever we could get this together. And today is the day. So I'm going to give you...
Today was the day.
I know. Thank goodness. So I'm going to give you a little bit more background on LINDSAY so you can know more about what she does. LINDSAY is a teaching and learning consultant for trailblazing entrepreneurs who want to create value-packed, student-centered digital content that get their clients A+ results while making a lasting impact on the world. So LINDSAY, can you tell us a little bit more about your business and how you do that with your students?
Yeah. So a lot of my, it's been a journey for me, and I was calling myself an e-course expert. I don't even know, probably about 3 weeks ago. But I started to realize that the more I worked one-on-one with clients, the more I found myself talking about teaching and learning in everything. So course creation is kind of the obvious thing that I would do. But I do want to make a larger impact on the business world right now. And I want to kind of, explain, or do a little bit of a paradigm shift with people and make them start to think about the content they put out there as teaching content and the clients as students, and how that's different than what it is right now. And it's not really that different, but we all have been in education, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming most of us out there at some point. It doesn't have to be grad school or anything fancy, but we've all had teachers and we've all been students. And I see there's a little bit of a disconnect happening. Sure, we're talking about providing value, and I still think that that's a way to look at it. Yes, providing value. The problem with that is there's just almost like a sole focus on the knowledge that we put out there, and that's it. And it kind of stops there. And so what I hear a lot of entrepreneurs saying will be things like, well, I made this great webinar, or I designed this course, and I put a lot of time into it, and it's everything I know about this content. And then it's up to my client, to the person who purchased it, to sit their butt in a chair and do the homework. Mm-hmm. And while that's partially true, it is, you can't make them do the work. But if you're thinking of yourself as a teacher, there is a little bit of a contract that you have with the student that you're going to support them as much as you can. And so even on Facebook Live, where I did a lot of talking about teaching on Facebook Live, just imagining your viewers as students and being like, how can I motivate them to go take action? How can I make my material as clear and as concise as possible? So I hold on to my viewers, and then my people that are watching are out there being able to implement something, because that's where real learning happens. So the way my work, and the reason why I call myself a teaching and learning consultant, is because I just want entrepreneurs to basically see the content that they produce as knowledge that they're giving to a student, and that they're kind of joining into a relationship with their viewers or with the people that purchase products. And so, yeah, my message is a little bit bigger than just course creation, but of course I talk about that a lot, creating engaging courses and maintaining student motivation and how to interact, that kind of thing. So that's a little bit of what I do in a nutshell.
Well, I love that. And I think, if you don't mind, let's use me as a guinea pig, because my business is much more courses and teaching people how to build things like their branding, their systems, their videos, their live streams. So you're right. The model that we've been taught is put all your value into the course, advertise it, make a private Facebook group, and then, it's kind of left to the consumer to learn on their own time. And of course, we can do things like sending emails and doing a couple live streams and stuff. But what would you say to me to be able to build more of that relationship with my consumer?
Yeah. So, what I talk about a lot is doing as much as we can to build safety nets, I guess is the word that I keep coming back to. So I probably didn't really even mention in my bio, but I'm a sociology professor at a community college by trade as of right now. Yeah. So awesome. I have about 6 years of teaching and learning in that capacity, both in person and face-to-face, and they are very different experiences. And even in higher ed, we're having this conversation about online education because it's kind of where we're headed, right? So I have a lot of student learning theory, if you will, and just in general conversations with my colleagues about how we translate a face-to-face classroom experience to students. And so I think what happened in the business world is, yes, you can put together your content and deliver it to your students. Put up a video, put in some worksheets, and then be like, okay, this is a course. And then, sadly, a lot of entrepreneurs kind of stop there. When you kind of started describing that you have a Facebook group and you do email people and you do live streams, that is one step further than even some other things that are called courses even take. Now, I'm not against passive income, and so I don't want to be seen as the woman who's going out there being like, oh, she's telling me I have to be super high touch.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. But I do have to draw the line because it's not that I'm saying that it's bad. I just think that in many cases, some passive income products could just be considered glorified textbooks. Like, I can hand you a book, right, and say, go learn this. But that doesn't mean I'm teaching. I wrote a book with content in it, and you are the consumer that is going to do whatever they want. So what education is, when we start calling things courses, when we start naming ourselves as teachers, it's a different learning experience. So, you can call it semantics, but I personally don't like when entrepreneurs say, okay, this is a course, and then they never talk to the student again, because I'm like, is it really a course, or did you just organize some material? And that's cool. It's not that that's bad. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to call yourself a teacher, there's this relationship process, and that's what you're asking me about. How do you build that? And so
totally
in teaching, and so in higher education, within the last 20 years, you've probably heard of it, maybe, if you have anybody out there that's in education or has family members that are in it. It's called a flipped classroom. And it's basically where the lecture material, the videos are watched at home, and the students come to class, and they actually either work on homework together, they problem solve together, they do a lot of group work, okay? So that kind of flipped the teaching world on its head a bit. And again, it's super recent, within the last 15, 20 years. And it's not perfect, but it is kind of interesting. Why do we send kids home with homework and that's the hardest part of learning. Why are we sending them home? Why is that not teacher supported? And the lecture where the teacher just talks the whole time, why is that not watched on its own time? So this comes from a Harvard physicist who started playing with this, but basically he found out that his A-plus students in his courses didn't even need him. They were going to get an A no matter what. So I argue to my clients, and we've probably seen them in all the courses we've been in, that those A-plus students were going to probably do okay, whether you had a Facebook group, whether you had any sort of support, because they were motivated for why they bought the course. Now, I want to help entrepreneurs see that, like, C, C, and B students, they might need an extra nudge, right? They might need something. Maybe they have too many courses on their plate. Maybe a life event happens. Maybe they get discouraged or overwhelmed with some of the way that the content was presented. And so those are the students that you really have to keep your eye on. The problem is we love keeping our eye on the A students who are posting in discussions, getting amazing results, sending you testimonials. Those are the easiest students to connect with, but they don't really need you as much, right? So it's crazy how similar teaching in higher ed is actually to, passing on these courses. So back to kind of your original question, the way we help students that are B, C, and D, that have some things going on in their lives or whatever, it's really also just like the way adults learn. And some of the big tips that I give my clients are related to breaking down material into really small steps, because we like to win. We like to solve something. We like to know we're doing something correctly. What I see a lot of in courses is you dump everything you know and you're like, okay, now go make a Facebook ad, right? Maybe if it's a Facebook ads course. And dude, making a Facebook ad is crazy hard and also very scary. So if one step in your course is like, okay, make an ad and play with it, it's kind of like, wait, my name and my picture and my copy, and I'm throwing money behind this. Like, there's so many places that I can back out of that and make up excuses for why I don't want to do that. And so I talk about that as like a high risk assignment. That is a very scary thing. It's kind of like the exam, right? Like taking an exam is very scary. So you want to build up a bunch of low risk activities to give the student confidence that they can do the high risk thing. Don't just throw them at the high risk thing. So what happens is the B, C, or C student gets scared and is like, oh, there's too much on my plate. Whatever, maybe this isn't for me. And they just don't open the course again or whatever. And there's all this shame around it and all of that. And then meanwhile, in the Facebook group, they see the A+ students who are killing it. And then they start to think that something's wrong with them. So we actually, even the Facebook group can actually inhibit some students and actually make them feel bad, even though we don't want them to, right? And so it's a very precarious thing we're dealing with. And it's not that I'm coming out with perfect answers, but I just want people to start thinking about it, right? So that private message to a student when you log into your back end of your course, if that's how you're doing that, there's a student that hasn't logged in over a month, send them a personal private Facebook message and just check in, because they're going to be shocked that you are even paying attention. And again, that's your B, C, and D student. Hey, what's going on at home, right? Like, how are you doing? And lots of time that opens up the door for, oh my gosh, like this is happening at home. I'm sorry I haven't turned in homework, right? And so that same thing is going to be used here, where it's like, hey, what's going on? I see you haven't logged in a while. I'm just know I'm here for you. And, everyone has their own pace. Just know that you see them. Because what happens, what I'm seeing in our industry right now is there's a little bit of, I wouldn't call it like, maybe it's a course bubble that possibly could burst, but I definitely think people are starting to be a little more cautious about purchasing courses. And so what ends up happening is if they feel like they bought something that they spent too much money on, and then they're having a little bit of buyer's remorse because they're not using the course that they purchased. And so because of that, they're really thinking about the content that they're that they're interacting with. And what that's going to do to them is create some layer of doubt or potential criticism of courses, right? And here's where I have to also draw a line. Some stuff related to what I do is around marketing and getting people into courses that may not be ready for the course. And so I want to put that out there that, yes, we can't control what causes people to buy psychology and all that stuff. People study that, right, all the time. That's not my zone of genius. But I do want to talk about the people who sign up for the course with every intention to finish, hopefully not seeing this course as a magic bullet, because I do think that's also a problem we have with people buying courses is like, oh, this is going to be the answer that makes my business, whatever. It's the same thing with coaches, right? So we do have to get people in our courses that are ready and know that this isn't a magic bullet and that they do have to do the work, right? So assuming that that's all happened, the student is coming in and they have this in the back of their mind, like, oh my gosh, I spent another, $500 and I didn't even do the last one. Am I going to do this one? So they're nervous, and you want to confirm to them as quickly as possible that they made the right decision and that they will get results if they stick with your program. And so that's why you have to give them those little wins along the way. But you want to just realize that there is some, in the back of their mind, some doubt. And so it is your responsibility as the teacher to get rid of that doubt if you can. And you can do it through your content, and you can do it by reaching out, like I had mentioned. So hopefully that answered the question, and I kind of forgot what it was.
No problem. Yeah. I like that you're talking about this, because even though I'm building courses, I'm always looking at the trends and looking at how I myself am feeling as an online entrepreneur. And I have really strayed away from courses, not because I don't love them, but I find that they are such a, I'm not speaking of everyone's courses, but just in general, such high ticket items that a lot of beginning entrepreneurs are spending all of their money on these courses and not necessarily achieving the results that they so desperately want. And there is a girl, I'm going to totally butcher her last name, but it's Kim Jimenez or something. I'll put the link below. And I actually just joined hers because what she did is she's taken all the courses that she's doing and put them into a monthly membership site.
Oh, like a membership site.
And I really liked that. And I liked, okay, here's a low cost thing that I can afford in my business. And I'm getting more of that one-on-one feel. And that really attracted me. So I really think that you're right, that the way things have been are going to change because people want more of that consistent help instead of that magic bullet like you're talking about.
Yeah. And I do think there's some interesting stuff going on. Yeah. With membership sites, because I also do some work on membership sites as well. Because that's a whole other journey that students go on. And it's very important, how that membership site is set up. But there is a lot of promise in it. And I think back to what you were saying about entrepreneurs, especially beginning entrepreneurs who don't have a lot of cash flow or capital, investing $2,000 right in a program, and maybe they were lucky to get on a $200 a month cost or something, so that makes it more feasible. But what happens is, and I was talking with another entrepreneur about this, because we say the same thing about high level coaching. What happens is then they have no money to spend on something like Facebook ads or like a VA. And so then they put all this money into a course, but that's not going to help them actually execute anything or get them visible, right? In many ways. And when I started to take off was when I put money behind a VA to help me with little tasks, and I started investing in Facebook ads. And if I spent all my money somewhere else, I wouldn't have had that. And I think that's another thing with these super high-end coaches that make these promises. It's you should ask them, how much extra money will you have left over if you're going to give me a lot of your money? Because part of that person's, I would hope that part of that coach's strategy would be put in some Facebook ads. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think it's not that we're sending bad messages. I think marketing is a little bit of a problem, and I think people are starting to talk about it. And that's what I mean by this whole thing. That's what I want to do. I want people to start to see, it's not that they're not doing this, but I want them to see them as students, as somebody that they can have a long-term relationship with. Because if the student finishes your course, they're going to be a lifer forever. We all have our favorite teacher in our minds that left such an impact on us. If you can become that as an entrepreneur, someone is going to buy everything you put out if you take care of them and show them that you want them to learn. And so it ends up being a bottom line, type of conversation. It's not just touchy-feely stuff. We're creating people that become that want to follow everything you do, take every class you have, right?
Absolutely. So let's transition into the amazing stuff that you have been doing with Facebook Live. I see you all over the place. You are absolutely rocking it. Give us a little bit of a glimpse into how you've built that up and your strategies in terms of whenever you go live.
That's a great question. So I did a Facebook Live challenge, and of course I talked about it from a teaching perspective. And we went through and mapped out our syllabus, which was, a month of content. And then we broke it down to lesson plans. So then the live was a lesson. It was really fun. Cool. But yeah, I kind of I tweaked a little bit of what is out there as it relates to, a structure of a Facebook Live. And I think Facebook Live is a very different platform than something like Periscope or some of the other platforms. And so we're just now starting to figure out how that impacts what we view, right? Because we're a video on someone's timeline. I mean, you're scrolling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so because you're scrolling, you really have to catch their attention like right off the bat. And so jumping in right in and saying exactly what you're going to cover and then introducing yourself, they don't care who you are. They just care what you're about to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those little kind of structures. And I basically created this idea of if you can make your Facebook Live between 5 and 10 minutes, teaching some pretty valuable content, getting people to share it, you know, initially. If you keep it under 5 minutes, I don't know if, you know, this might be really helpful for your audience, but Facebook automatically captions the video. So a lot of, if you've ever seen a video that has words scrolling, and you've probably watched them, I know I have, because, hey, I'm in a public place and I want to catch this woman's video, but I'm not going to turn on my speakers, right? So I read it. So if your video is under 5 minutes, when you go in, you basically watch, you record the live, you record and upload the video, either way, and then you can go in and edit. And there's a place to add captions. And you have to kind of tell Facebook how to do that. And it's not perfect. So you will have to go in and edit some of the words that they got wrong, but it takes, I don't know, I just did an ad spot for my webinar that's coming up. And because it was 30 seconds, it was really quick for me to just do that. But you could have, you know, a VA also if it's like a 5-minute video. So having that caption increases the viewership a ton. And so it's really important, first of all, if I'm to give your viewers some tips, or listeners some tips, you really want to do Facebook Lives from your business page. I know a lot of us out there struggle with it, but that's where you get the editing capabilities, the high-level editing capabilities, and the insights. You can actually tag some of your favorite pages so it shows up in search functions if you want. So, like, I can go in there and tag Amy Porterfield. I can go in there and tag, you know, anyone else, Derek Halpern, people that my audience, you know, who they follow, similar to ads. So there's a lot of really cool capabilities that you want to use in order to get your teaching out there, right? And so not only that, you know, you want to develop, you want people to subscribe, right? You want people to say, look, I'm never going to miss one of Lindsay's lives. And so the way I was teaching that in my challenge was to kind of create almost like a mini workshop series. And every week do 1 to 3 lives and be like, I'm going to talk this week about master classes, which is what my webinar is going to be on. And so, okay, I'm going to cover master classes. Join me Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 5 p.m., you know, Pacific, and I'm going to kind of give you all 3 of my top tips or whatever. And of course, I'm leading up to a pitch for a master class on master classes. And so it's cool because they know it's short. They know it's not going to be a 45-minute video of you at a coffee shop. It's going to be polished. It's going to be you teaching something. And so then they know what they're subscribing to, right? And I'm not saying the random lives in your car aren't valuable. I think they are. But if you make it a little more calculated, people know what to expect. The student knows what they're in for. And that's what I think some of the downfall is in some Facebook Lives, is they're not sure if you're going to ramble on for an hour. So some people don't have that time, right?
Totally.
So it's not Periscope. Yeah. So you have to kind of, so if you kind of create that, feeling of like, oh, I know what I'm in for, then they're likely to subscribe and they're likely to show up because they know you're never going to go over 10 minutes, at least with the teaching spots, right? And so I had the people in the challenge name their teaching spot something really fun. So I call mine the office hours with the Rebel Professor. And so, and then it's just like, okay, hashtag office hours. And then, you know, it just becomes a little thing that I do. I've been running ads to them, so that's why you've probably seen them a lot. And one of the strategies that I've been using is building a warm audience with video views. So by running ads to your lives, it looks like I'm just showing up on your feed as a live. You might catch that it's sponsored, but even if you don't, it feels like I'm everywhere. But if you watch some of those videos, you're likely to sign up for my next master class because you've seen me and you're like, oh, I like what she has to say. right?
Right.
I believe her. I trust her. And so I'm running ads right now. My Facebook ad strategist, I'm running ads to a masterclass, a webinar, which is converting terribly in the industry right now because everyone's sick of webinars, which is actually what my topic is. And they're converting out like 30 and 40%, or 30 and 40 cents. That's like unheard of for webinar registration. Like most people are doing, like upgraded lead magnets or whatever, because no one wants to join a webinar anymore. So the strategy has been get people to know who I am, have some content to say that's pretty valuable and challenging the industry a little bit and causing some buzz. And so I get people to watch the videos, and then I target them with some of my other content, to get some email addresses later. So it's been working out really well for me to build a warm audience in the 20,000s, I think is where I'm at right now. Is pretty huge. Yeah. So that's a great tip for your audience too. And that's how you can really start to reuse your live content, for a way to benefit you and your business.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. That's totally valuable. And I know all of our listeners are just busting with ideas and excited to go execute. So I want to make sure they know where to find you and your amazing gift that you're offering us today.
Yeah. So, you can find me. I'm really enjoying my Facebook group. So that's where I'd love to connect with people right now. So I host a Facebook group called the Teachers Lounge for Online Creators. So I'd love for you to connect to that, because what I do in there is a lot of this. We talk teaching and learning. We also talk about the technology behind teaching and learning, which actually is a huge block for a lot of people, as you put courses together and do a podcast, and there's so many decisions you have to make before you actually put your content out there. So, people are in there asking about what kind of software you're using and plugins and platforms and all that fun stuff. But I also have a really cool, teaching spot that happens every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You sign up for it and you actually can teach my community and you practice. So you're teaching other people who care about teaching. And, you sign up. We're about a month booked out already, but it comes quicker than you think.
That's
but yeah, you sign up and you sign up and you just share your knowledge. You can practice there. You can use it as a way to, work on a module or a concept that might be a little confusing to you right now or something like that. Just work through some of your ideas. It's just a fun, sociable, space that I've created. So I'd love to hang out with your listeners there.
Perfect. I'll link that below and let them know about your cheat sheet.
Yeah. So, one of my freebies right now is an e-course topic cheat sheet. So basically it's how to go from, overwhelmed and stressed out thinking about all the stuff that to an actual course topic, like your first course topic. And I help you do that in 30 minutes. So I have some really great strategies for helping you brainstorm, mind map, and even do a little bit of market research as well.
Love it. Well, I will link that below, guys. And if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, click the 3 dots to the right of the topic and you'll see view full description. Click on that and then you will see this link clickable below. So join the Facebook group, download this amazing cheat sheet. And I know I'm going to be hopping into her Facebook group because I think you are just nailing it with your visibility strategy. So congrats. Thank you so much for taking the time to come onto the podcast. This was so actionable. I absolutely loved it. And you have such a gift for helping online entrepreneurs. So thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me. That was really fun.
I'm sure we'll have you back soon.
Oh, please. That would be great.
Everyone have a great day. Stay tuned next week for another episode to up your visibility.
Thanks for listening in today to the Visibility Vixen podcast. Subscribe now and share with a fellow Vixen who wants to start building their visibility. For more fire in your life and brand, visit visibilityvixen.com.